Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're gonna be heading over to Nepal.
Oh, cool.
We're exploring the life of Mithila Devi Singh, and we're doing it through a single source, a tribute written by her son, Shankarman Singh,
Okay.
written on the anniversary of her passing, actually, at the ripe old age of 90.
Wow, 90.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It is, and this isn't just a eulogy.
Right.
It gives us this window into a remarkable life, a life that really intertwined with Nepali history and culture, even some famous figures, which we'll get to later.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn more.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Shankarman Singh starts by mentioning his mother's birthplace, Janakpur.
Okay.
Now, I have to admit, my geography is a bit rusty.
Well, Janakpur is incredibly significant in Hindu mythology. It's believed to be the birthplace of Sita, the heroine of the epic Ramayana.
Ah, okay, so her roots are literally intertwined with legend.
Exactly. So right from the start, we see Mithila Devi connected to this rich cultural heritage.
That's fascinating, but her life wasn't all epic poetry and mythology, was it? She lived through some pretty turbulent times.
Absolutely. She was the daughter of a Suba, a high-ranking official during the Rana regime.
Right.
Now imagine a Nepal ruled by a powerful family and where individual freedoms, especially for women, were extremely limited.
So how did she navigate those limitations?
Well, it seems she did it with remarkable resilience. Her family moved frequently due to her father's work, so she had to adapt to new surroundings constantly. Later, she supported her husband's medical practice in rural Nepal, a demanding role in itself.
That definitely paints a picture of a woman who could roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Shankarman Singh even suggests that his mother could have thrived as an administrator or politician if given the chance.
Right.
You know, I was reading that and I thought, wow, that's a powerful statement, especially considering the context. It suggests she possessed ambition and drive, qualities not typically encouraged in women during that era,
It makes you wonder what she might have achieved if society had been more accepting.
doesn't it?
But even within those limitations, she clearly made an impact.
Right.
Shankarman Singh describes her raising 7 children while assisting her husband. Talk about a busy life.
Yeah, it was. Her dedication to family was clearly a cornerstone of her identity.
Right.
But it wasn't her only focus.
No.
Shankarman Singh also highlights her deep religious faith.
Yes, he does.
He describes their home as a space filled with rituals and offerings almost constantly. It just paints this really vivid picture of daily life.
And it wasn't just a vague sense of spirituality either.
No, it was very specific.
He lists specific temples and deities that she revered, like the Bhagwati Mandir in Palpa every Saturday, or the Srinagar Ganesh every Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some serious dedication. And these weren't just casual, like, drop-ins, right?
Right.
We're talking full-blown pilgrimages.
You're absolutely right. From Muktanath, high in the Himalayas, to the Char Dam, the 4 most sacred sites in Hinduism. Her journeys highlight an unwavering commitment to her faith.
And it wasn't just traditional practices either.
Hmm.
This is where it gets really interesting, right? She dabbled in astrology and fortune-telling.
Exactly. This fascination with the unseen world adds another layer to her personality.
It does.
It seems like she sought to understand the forces shaping her life, both seen and unseen.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually reminds me of a story Shankar Man shares about a visiting doctor.
Oh, go on. Tell me more.
Well, the doctor jokingly remarked on how there was always a puja happening at their home. You know, a birthday, special occasion, something.
Okay.
Every time I visit, there's a puja for something, he said.
That's fantastic.
No, right?
It really highlights how integral these rituals were to her daily existence.
Yeah.
But her faith wasn't just a personal endeavor, was it? It seems like it also influenced her actions within the community.
Absolutely. She was instrumental in establishing the Dasrath Mithila Aksha Scholarship Fund, which demonstrated her belief in the power of education, especially for those less fortunate.
Wow. That's quite a legacy to leave behind.
Right.
And speaking of legacy, Shankarman Singh also touches upon his mother's connections to some rather influential people.
Yes, she was close friends with the wife of Narayan Bilas Joshi, one of the founders of the Nepal Communist Party, which is fascinating considering the political climate at the time.
So we're not just talking about a woman of faith and family. but someone potentially connected to the political shifts happening around her.
Exactly. It makes you wonder about her own views, her conversations with these figures.
Yeah.
And this connection to prominent figures wasn't an isolated incident.
Right. She even pops up in the autobiography of Kali Prasad Ryal, the famous songwriter and lyricist.
Apparently, Mithila Devi helped Riald's wife during childbirth. It's a small detail, but it speaks volumes about her caring nature.
And it humanizes these larger-than-life figures, doesn't it? Yeah. Reminds us that they too had ordinary moments of need and relied on the kindness of others.
Exactly.
But her impact wasn't limited to just these big names, was it?
No, you're picking up on a key point here.
Okay.
Shankar Man emphasizes her wide circle of close friends from various walks of life.
Right.
And her deep appreciation for those who helped her and her husband, like a man named Mian Bahadur, who dedicated years to assisting their medical practice.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a testament to her ability to connect with people from all walks of life and build those lasting relationships.
Absolutely. It also highlights her gratitude and her recognition of others' contributions. It seems like she valued the interconnectedness of lives, recognizing that we're all part of a larger web.
So we have a picture emerging of a woman deeply rooted in tradition and faith, yet surprisingly adaptable and connected to the changes sweeping through Nepal. What I'm curious about is how she dealt with the personal tragedies that life inevitably throws our way.
Ah, that's a good point. And it's something we'll explore further as we delve deeper into Mithila Devi's later years. Stay with us for part 2 of this deep dive, where we unpack her strength in the face of loss and her enduring legacy.
We're back and ready to dive a little bit deeper into Mithila Devi's story. You know, it's easy to romanticize the past.
Right.
But we have to remember that she lived during a time of immense social and political change in Nepal.
Exactly. To fully grasp her experiences, we really need to understand the context of the Rana regime.
Okay.
It wasn't just about limited freedoms. It was a system where a single family held absolute power for over a century.
Wow.
Imagine the restrictions, especially for women.
So life under the Ranas was basically like living in a real-life Game of Thrones.
Well, there might not have been dragons, but there were certainly power struggles and intrigue, and for women, social mobility was practically non-existent.
Oh, wow.
Their lives were largely confined to the domestic sphere. Education and professional opportunities were rare.
It's amazing then that someone like Mithila Devi, who Shankarman Singh describes as having the potential to be a leader, emerged from this environment.
Right.
It makes her resilience even more impressive.
Right, and her story challenges the assumption that women of that era were simply passive bystanders.
Right.
She might not have had the same opportunities as men, but within her sphere, she exerted influence and made her mark.
Like raising 7 children while supporting her husband's medical practice.
Great.
That's no small feat.
It speaks to her strength and resourcefulness, But it wasn't just about managing a household. Remember her diverse social connections.
Right.
She wasn't just mingling with elites.
That's true. Her friendship with the wife of Narayan Bilas Joshi, the founder of the Communist Party, particularly stands out. It raises questions about her own political leanings.
Yeah.
Was she sympathetic to the communist cause? Or was it simply a close personal connection that transcended political differences?
It's hard to say for sure based on the tribute alone. But it's intriguing to consider, especially since this friendship likely predates the Communist Party's rise to prominence. Perhaps she was drawn to their vision of a more equitable society, a society where women might have more opportunities.
And her involvement with the Dasrath Mithila Aksha Scholarship Fund further suggests a desire to empower others through education.
Right. It wasn't just about charity. It was about breaking down barriers and creating a more just future.
Wow.
It's almost as if she recognized that education was a key to unlocking a better world, not just for her children, but for her community as a whole.
So we're seeing a woman deeply rooted in her faith, family, and community, yet also open to new ideas and progress.
Right.
She witnessed the fall of the Rana regime and the birth of a new Nepal. I imagine those were incredibly tumultuous times.
Yeah.
How do you think someone like Mithila Devi navigated that shift?
It must have been a period of both excitement and uncertainty.
Yeah.
Imagine seeing a centuries-old power structure crumble and a new, more democratic system emerge.
Right.
Did she embrace these changes wholeheartedly? Did she have reservations?
Right.
Shankar Man's tribute doesn't explicitly address this, but her story offers some clues.
Like for instance, her strong religious devotion suggests a certain continuity with the past, a grounding force amidst all the change.
Right.
Yet her willingness to connect with people from different social and political backgrounds hints at an openness to new ideas.
That's the fascinating thing about her story. She embodies the tension between tradition and modernity that defined Nepal during that era.
Yeah.
She wasn't just swept along by the currents of change, she actively navigated them, holding on to what was important to her while adapting to new realities.
It's a testament to her adaptability and inner strength.
Yeah.
And speaking of strength, Shankar Man also reveals that his father passed away almost 3 years before his mother. I can only imagine the grief she must have felt.
Losing a life partner after decades of marriage is a profound loss.
Yeah.
Yet he mentions she lived independently for 27 months after her husband's death.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about her self-reliance and resilience.
Absolutely. It shows that even in her later years, she wasn't defined by her circumstances. She continued to live a full life, surrounded by her family and community.
It's it's inspiring to see how she faced adversity with such grace and determination.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder how she found peace and solace during those difficult times.
Well, there's a detail Shankarman Singh shares about his mother's passing that might offer some insight.
Okay.
He mentions that she waited for her son, Dr. B.K. Man Singh, to arrive from America before peacefully departing this world.
Oh, wow. It almost sounds as if she held on, gathering her strength until she could say goodbye to her son.
It does, doesn't it?
What a poignant and powerful testament to the depth of their bond.
And to add another layer of meaning to this moment, Shankarman Singh reveals that she passed away amidst the sounds of holy verses being chanted.
Oh, wow. It's a beautiful image, isn't it?
It really is. It speaks to the unwavering faith that sustained her throughout her life, offering comfort and solace even in her final moments.
It's as if her life had come full circle, ending where it began, surrounded by family and the sounds of her faith.
A fitting end to a remarkable life.
But I think there's more to uncover here. In part 3, let's explore what Mithila Devi's story teaches us about the power of individual lives to shape history and leave a lasting legacy. You know, we've spent this whole deep dive exploring the life of this one Nepali woman, Mithila Devi Singh. But I think her story raises these questions that go far beyond any single individual.
I agree. Her life becomes a window into this really specific time and place. And Nepal, on the cusp of this enormous transformation. And while she wasn't a queen or a politician, her experiences speak to something universal, I think.
Right. It's like how do individuals navigate those massive societal shifts? We talked about the Rana regime collapsing, democracy taking hold. That's huge.
Exactly. And for women of Mithila Devi's generation, those changes were even more profound. Remember, their lives were largely confined to the home. So as Nepal modernized, their roles, their opportunities, everything was up for grabs.
Yeah. It makes her dedication to her faith even more interesting, right? It wasn't just about personal belief. It was almost like an anchor in a world that was spinning faster and faster.
It's a great point. Those rituals, the pilgrimages, they provided a sense of continuity, stability.
Yeah.
Imagine the comfort they must have offered in a world where so much else just felt uncertain.
Yeah, it's like those rituals were this thread connecting her to past, to her ancestors, to something larger than herself. But at the same time, she wasn't stuck in the past either, was she?
Absolutely not. We see that in her support for education, her willingness to connect with people from all walks of life. Those actions suggest someone who's, open to new ideas, to progress. It's like she understood that holding on to tradition doesn't mean rejecting change.
Yeah. That's a tough balance to strike, though, isn't it? Especially when the changes are so dramatic.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if there was ever a conflict between her personal beliefs and the direction that Nepal was heading in.
We can only speculate, but it's a question worth pondering. Did she see modernization as a threat to her traditions? Or did she view it as an opportunity to create a better future for her children, her grandchildren? Maybe it was a bit of both.
I suppose it often is, right? The past and the future, pushing and pulling against each other. And how we navigate that tension, it shapes not just our own lives, but the world around us.
And that brings us to, I think, a crucial point. Mithila Devi's story might seem small on the surface, but it reminds us that history isn't just made by kings and queens, is it?
Right.
It's shaped by the everyday lives of ordinary people, their choices, their actions, their connections to each other.
So even though she might not have held political office or written famous books, her life still mattered. she contributed to the fabric of Nepali society in her own unique way.
Exactly. Her story is a testament to the ripple effect of individual lives. We might not see those ripples immediately, but they spread outwards, influencing families, communities, even entire nations.
Yeah, it makes you think about your own life, your own connections. Whose stories have shaped you, and whose lives are you shaping in return?
That's a powerful question to reflect on. And as we conclude this deep dive, I think it's the perfect takeaway. Mithila Devi Singh's life, it reminds us that even seemingly ordinary lives can hold extraordinary meaning.
And that those lives, when shared and understood, have the power to connect us across time and cultures, reminding us of the shared humanity that binds us all.